Om Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavid Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, verses 31 to 35.
Yajnashishtamritabhujah Yanti Brahma Sanatanam Nayam Lokosya Yajnasya Kutonyah Kuru Sattama Evam Bahuvidha Yajnaha Vitata Brahmano Mukhe Karmajan Vidhitan Sarvan Evam Nyatva Vimokshase Shreyan Dravyamayad Yajnat Jnana Yajnah Parantapa Sarvam Karmakhilam Partha Jnane Parisamapyate Tadvidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya Upadekshanti Te Jnanam Jnaninastattvadarshinah Yajñatvana Punarmoham Evam Yasyasi Pandava Yena Bhutanyasheshena Drakshasyatmanyato Mayi.
Yajna Vidaha, he used the term in verse 30 when we concluded last week. Yajna Vidaha literally means knowers of yajna, knowers of sacrifice. So those who know sacrifice, see, of all creatures, only a human being can consciously sacrifice. Animals cannot consciously sacrifice. See, animals give, but they are designed like that. They can't change that. See, a carnivore is designed to kill. The carnivore cannot change that. You understand? The carnivore cannot decide one day, no, enough of killing. Let's lead a peaceful coexistence. It can't do that. Similarly, a herbivore is designed to be soft, tender, kind, and that's how the herbivore will be. The herbivore cannot become violent. So the human being has the capacity to take or give. That capacity to sacrifice is what makes us a human. So knowers of sacrifice, in the sense, those who understand the benefits of sacrifice and they have dedicated their life to giving. See, ultimately, what are we learning all this for? What are you attending classes for? It's not just one more knowledge you learn. You've got to integrate it into your life. All these principles, you've got to integrate it. If you're not integrating it, what's the point of learning all this? So knowers of sacrifice means one who have understood that giving is better than taking. See, even if you're selfish, okay, everybody's selfish, you understand, primarily speaking. So even if you're selfish, if it pays to be unselfish, Because by being unselfish, you'll get more. This is what people don't understand. See, if you were to work it out, put a table and say selfish, unselfish, benefits of selfish, benefits of unselfishness. Just for yourself, if you put out a table, you will understand the benefits of unselfishness outweighs the benefits of selfishness. So what is the benefit of unselfishness? When you're unselfish, when you're a giver, you are mentally more peaceful. Giving gives you that peace, it gives you that joy, it gives you that happiness. The more and more you take, the more and more miserable you become. You see takers versus givers, you see the difference. Givers are smiling, they're cheerful. Takers are all that time morose, scowling. They'll be like that. Huh? I'm not joking. You see a typical taker, not a single smile you'll get from a taker. A fully committed taker will not smile. So, because of the effect it has on the mind. That's why you'll see in the case of children, tiny kids who can't pretend. You see that if a child gives, it smiles. If a child takes, it frowns. You observe it. Suppose the child has something and you go and ask the child, just to have fun. Hey, give me that sweet. You have a sweet, give me. Huh? And what the child does, no, it's mine. No, mine. When it does that, immediately there's a frown on the face. It's mine. What if the child says, no, take it, keep it? There's a smile. You see the children cannot pretend it. So you see the grandchildren also. When they want to give, they smile. They take, they frown. Same effect it has on your mind. So mentally, if you're unselfish, you are a happier person. Number one. Number two, materially. See, materially, you want to earn a lot. If you are unselfish, you will be more prosperous materially. If you are self-centered, you want to grab, you will not get it. You will get it for a while, but you will lose it. You'll get it for a while, but you'll lose it. So you've got to find out and understand. Unless you understand, you will not change. Why will you change? Because you believe taking is better than giving. You're convinced. So unless you convince yourself, no, giving is better any day, only then you change. So these yajna vida, knowers of sacrifice, they've understood. And by sacrifice have destroyed the sins. That's the whole portion we studied, the 12 yajnas that we have covered. So 12 yajnas, since we've been studying in the last few classes, I thought I'll just summarize the whole thing. So what was the 12 yajnas? 12 yajnas followed the principle of receipt, reaction, response. So various circles we saw. And one side of the circle is receipt. You see that? So from the left circle, which has got a thick border, the thick border is the world. That circle on the left, that's world with a thick border. So from the world, the stimuli is going out on top. So that's the receipt of stimuli is going out. And therefore you get the third yajna, which is the yajna of perception. Then fourth yajna, restraint. Fifth yajna, yoga of self-control. So all of this is receipt and reaction. So you're reacting with it, you're controlling it, you're restraining it. And then from number 6 onwards, you're responding back to the world. So how do you respond back? Through wealth, number 6. Number 7, austerity. Number 8, yoga practices. Number 9, study and wisdom. So various ways you're responding back. And it continues. Yajna number 10, inhalation and exhalation. Intake and output, prana and apana. Through that, if you regulate that, you get number 11, inner strength. And then through inner strength, you dedicate to external activity, and then the cycle is complete. Then again, you're receiving stimuli, you're reacting, then you're responding back to the world. Receipt, reaction, response. So that's the significance of all these circles. And in the middle of the circle, you get the limited ideal and absolute ideal. So in the middle of the circle, why limited ideal, absolute ideal is because you can do all these activities either to achieve something in the world or to achieve the supreme. So limited ideal means anything in the world. Absolute ideal means self-realization. So that's number 1, number 2, yajna. So 12 types of sacrifices. And the central theme of these sacrifices, of that fire ritual, is the ahuti, the offering, and the kindling. You offer, when you offer the fuel into the fire shoots up, and that's the kindling of the fire. You offer, there's a samidda, kindling, ahuti, samidda, offering, kindling. So each of these yajnas, you need to find out what is the offering, what is the kindling. So we'll quickly go through that, just to summarize it. So yajna number 1, see that what you're offering. So you're offering your entire personality, your body, mind, intellect, to kindle happiness, which is limited ideal. Anybody in the world, you ask them, what are you working for? They'll say for happiness. You understand? So you're giving your body, mind, intellect to get happiness. In the case of the absolute ideal, you're offering sacrifice itself to reach Brahman. You're giving up your individuality totally to reach that supreme. So what you get out of limited ideal is different from what you get out of absolute ideal. Then number 3, the yajna of perception. You're perceiving the world. So what are you offering? You're offering the stimuli and you're kindling the perception. Stimuli goes into the sense center, and then when the stimuli dies away, then there is a perception. You see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Number 4 is yajna of restraint. In this case, you're offering all your perceptions to kindle self-control. You don't indulge in the perception. You don't mentally linger upon that perception. As a result, you develop self-control. So this is for, again, worldly things, number 4. Number 5, yajna is for spiritual control. That's why it's called yoga of self-control. It's a spiritual control. In this yajna, you're offering all your actions, perceptions, emotions, thoughts, all functions, and you're kindling self-realization. You're practicing self-control to reach the self. So this much is receipt and reaction. Then number 6, yajna of wealth. You're giving wealth. So you're offering your wealth, donor's wealth, and you're kindling the other person's wealth, the recipient's wealth. The person who's getting it, his wealth is kindled. And then number 7 is physical giving, austerity, offering your body, kindling others' physical or material gain. Then number 8 is yajna of yoga, mental and the intellectual level. You're offering the service, kindling others' spiritual evolution. And the 9th yajna is swadhyaya jnana yajna, yajna of study and wisdom, offering your ignorance and gaining the knowledge of the self. Then number 10, prana and apana, yajna of intake and output. So you give intake, you take output. Then you give output, you take intake. Prana, apana, apana, apana. And if you regulate it correctly, number 11, yajna of inner strength. You're offering the restraint of prana or apana and kindle the inner strength. And then the last yajna is external actions. You offer that inner strength to promote your external activities. So the full cycle you go through. See, you may not get it fully in this first instance. So what I would suggest is you go back and go through it. That's why I've given you a lot of notes, a lot of things that you can reflect and go back and reflect. And second time you read it, it becomes a bit more clearer. Third time, a lot more. Slowly, it becomes clearer and clearer. Okay. See, these portions in the Bhagavad Gita, these are what we call as knots of the Gita. Knots, knots, like a rope knot. It's a knots of the Gita. So how any person explains it, you will know whether the person knows the Gita or not. So if you were to give me a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, I will look up certain portions. I will see how that person is interpreted. By that, I will know whether that person has understood the Gita or not. You understand? So this is one of those portions. How the person interprets it. Very rare to get this interpretation. You can read commentaries. I've read commentaries upon commentaries. You don't get this interpretation anyway. It's very unique. All right. Next verse, number 31.
यज्ञशिष्टामृतभुजः यान्ति ब्रह्म सनातनम् नायं लोकोऽस्य यज्ञस्य कुतोऽन्यः कुरु सत्तम यज्ञशिष्टामृतभुजः यान्ति ब्रह्म सनातनम् नायं लोकोऽस्य यज्ञस्य कुतोऽन्यः कुरु सत्तम.
So now it's a fresh topic, a new topic. Eaters of the nectar, the remnant of sacrifice, go to the eternal Brahman. This world is not for the non-sacrificer. Ayagnya. Ayagnya means non-sacrificer. This world is not for the non-sacrificer. How then the other? Other means other world, meaning heaven. O Kurusattama. So Kurusattama is another name for Arjuna. Kurusattama means best among the Kurus. Kurus is the family. Both the Kauravas and the Pandavas are part of that. So he says, Arjuna, you're the best among the Kurus. So eaters of the nectar, Amrita. Amrita, nectar. Nectar indicates immortality. So whenever they use nectar, nectar means immortality. You're gaining immortality. And how do you get that nectar? He gives us a clue here. Remnant of sacrifice. Remnant of sacrifice means that which remains after you sacrifice. After you give, whatever remains, you enjoy that. He says that takes you to immortality. Like I was explaining the benefits of being unselfish. You give, you give, you give, you give. He said, what will happen if you keep on giving? You'll get immortality. See, the what is implied here is, what does it literally mean? What remains after you give? It's not physical. It's mental. What he means is you don't want anything in return. When you give, it's one way. You're not expecting anything in return. If you're expecting something in return, it's not sacrifice. It's not giving. It's a business transaction. Oh, I've given so much. Oh, how much are people giving back? Suppose you're thinking, you're calculating, then you're not giving. You're just doing business. I remember talking to a big business guy here in London, and he was telling me about a very big Swami in India. You all know him. I'm not mentioning his name. So he was talking about that Swami, and I said, "Why are you mentioning him?" He said, "Listen, a fellow, he's not a Swami, he's a businessman." That's how he told me. He's a businessman in the guise of a Swami. He's just interested in business. You know. I said, what do we do? There are people like that. See, he's a business. See, business guys know business guys. You understand? They can see through the fellows. So, so when you're giving, the moment you're expecting something in return, then you're not giving. So that's what he's saying. The remnant of sacrifice, you just give. So there's no expectation. To the extent the expectation is there, you have to deduct your giving. You're not giving that much. So eaters of the nectar, the remnant of the sacrifice, go to eternal Brahman. They go straight to Brahman. You're giving, 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 giving. Nothing remains. You become the you become the self, become Brahman. See, the fear that you all have is, oh, if I sacrifice, I will lose everything. No. Sacrifice is not losing, sacrifice is gaining everything. Because what is true sacrifice? True sacrifice is a sacrifice of your ego, of your desires. When you sacrifice your ego and your desires, you gain Brahman. You gain everything. Not only that, when you sacrifice, you become self sufficient. You become independent. A person who is attached and dependent cannot sacrifice, cannot give. The fellow who is self sufficient, independent, that person can give. The way to find out if you're giving correctly or not, see, many of you are doing your duties and obligations. Now, when you do your duties, you're supposed to do it in a spirit of giving. How do you know that you are doing your duties correctly? That you are acting in a spirit of giving? It could be any duty, any obligation. It could be managing the household. It could be cooking a meal. It could be running a company. It could be running a country. It could be teaching philosophy. Any obligation. The principle is the same. How do you know you're acting in a spirit of yajna? How do you know that you're giving correctly? Very simple thing is, are you cheerful? Are you happy? When you do your duties, are you cheerful? What is your attitude when you do your duty? Huh? Hardly you find anybody cheerful. You understand? There's hardly anybody. If you can find anybody cheerful, grab that fellow, grab that person. Very difficult to find. So, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to take care of this. I almost feel like saying, just stop it, because the way you're doing it itself puts everybody off. Just leave it, man. Just leave it. You always feel like telling them. So, the way you do it, it should be attractive. You understand? When you do it, you should make it attractive that others also will want to do it. A very beautiful example they give of Lord Krishna. Krishna, when the war was over, and then the Pandavas were organizing a big feast, and kings from different parts of the world they came. So King Charles also they invited. So all the kings, different parts of the world, they all went, and the Pandavas threw this big huge party. So then each one had a job to do. The five Pandavas, different jobs they had. Krishna's an active guy, He can't sit still. So Krishna went and asked, "Can I do something?" Hey, Krishna, please, please, please. You can't, No, you please, you're an honored guest. Krishna is restless. He can't sit like that. So he went around, and he found a job, and he started doing the job. So 7 o'clock was the appointed time, and they're waiting and waiting. Nobody's coming in. They say, "What's happening?" And they look outside the palace. There's a big crowd which is gathered there. Say, what are they gathered outside the palace? They were supposed to come in. So Yudhishthira and the other Pandavas went to investigate. What had happened was our friend Krishna, he didn't know what to do. So he started managing the footwear. Where the footwear was there, he said, "I will take care of that." So when everyone came, they had to leave the footwear. He took the footwear and put it in a place, gave them a token. That was his job. He took the job. And the way he was doing it was so attractive that everybody was watching him, They didn't even go inside the palace. They were all watching him. How beautifully he's doing it. The way he picks it up, the way he arranges it, the way he gives the token. So attractive it was. Everybody was transfixed, So that's what it is. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. That is giving. That is the thing. Oh gosh, I got to arrange the slippers here, put the slippers, put the, pada. So, okay. What about dinner? Oh, dinner also you want, is it? I'm just asking. Dinner can be. Oh, you want dinner? Okay, here. Yeah, have dinner. So, I've done my duty. What duty you've done? So, the cheerfulness. So, wanting to give. When you're wanting to give, when you want to serve, there's a joy, the cheer. That's what Ram he says. If you're not cheerful, he says, lock yourself in your room. Don't come out. Don't spread sorrow. So quarantine. What he means is quarantine yourself if you're unhappy. So eaters of the nectar, remnant of sacrifice. Just when you give, see in that poem, Pineapple and the Bee. It's a beautiful poem, Pineapple and the Bee. Many of you are nodding your head. You all remember that poem. And the bee wants to get that pineapple. It's not able to get it because it's in a glass case. It tries, and it goes away. So the poet is saying this is what human beings are doing. And at the end of the poem, he summarizes it beautifully. He says, "Our dear delights are often such, exposed to view but not to touch." You understand? He says the world is like that. He says it's exposed to view. Things are there, but you can't touch it. It's not meant for you. Our dear delights are often such, exposed to view but not to touch. The sight of foolish heart in flames, we long for pineapples in frames. With hopeless wish, one looks and lingers, one breaks the glass and cuts his fingers. He says, one type of person, what does the person do? He looks and lingers. Yeah, it's so nice. Oh, this is so good, but I can't have it. I can't have it. He's looking and lingering, not doing nothing. So one person looks and lingers. Another person breaks the glass, to take that object and cuts his fingers. He gets arrested by the law. He doesn't get it. He breaks the glass and cuts his fingers. Then he says, what's the right way to do? But they whom truth and wisdom lead can gather honey from a weed. But they whom truth and wisdom lead can gather honey from a weed. So if you lead a life of truth and wisdom, you can gather honey from anything and everything. Even from a weed, you can extract honey. See that, the famous lines from that poem. You should memorize these lines. Our dear delights are often such, exposed to view but not to touch. The sight of foolish heart in flames, we long for pineapples in frames. The pineapple is not meant for the bee. Similarly, everything in the world is not meant for you, but you're longing and longing. With hopeless wish, one looks and lingers. That is a tamasic person. One breaks the glass and cuts his fingers, rajasic person. But they whom truth and wisdom lead can gather honey from a weed, a sattvic person. So this world is not for the non-sacrificer. Ayagnya. Meaning, if you don't sacrifice, you'll be lost in the world. You won't be able to survive. So this world is not for the non-sacrificer. I was telling somebody in the morning, and the person said, oh, I didn't know that. So I thought, some of you also may not know this. Do you all know how the seat belts in the car, the seat belts that you're using in the cars today, you know how that came about? It was invented by Volvo. You know the Volvo company? So an engineer in the Volvo company invented it. And instead of patenting it and keeping it only for themselves, the company gave the patent free to all car companies. So now it is there. Nobody can drive without the seat belts all over the world, all the companies. If only Volvo were to charge for that, they would have been $1 trillion company by now. But they didn't do that. What did they do? They gave the patent free. They gave it free so that other companies, because they were more interested in other safety, the safety of the drivers. You understand? Such a beautiful act they did. That's why they're still respected as a big car company because of that. Their ethos is that, an ethos of giving. So this world is not for the non-sacrifice. How then the other? How can you achieve anything in heaven, Arjuna? You can't even sacrifice here. How can you get there? Next verse.
एवं बहुविधा यज्ञाः वितता ब्रह्मणो मुखे कर्मजान् सर्वान् एवं ज्ञात्वा विमोक्ष्यसे एवं बहुविधा यज्ञाः वितता ब्रह्मणो मुखे कर्मजान् सर्वान् एवं ज्ञात्वा विमोक्ष्यसे.
Thus, manifold sacrifices are spread out before Brahman. Know them all to be born of action. Thus, knowing, you shall be liberated. See, now he's concluding. He's done the 12 yajnas, and now he says, manifold sacrifices are there. So it's not only 12 yajnas. 12 yajnas is just a sample, just to give you an idea how you can implement sacrifice in your life. But he says every action can potentially be converted into sacrifice. Each and every action you do can be converted into sacrifice. So manifold sacrifices are spread out before Brahman. So in the practice of sacrifice, you're maintaining the thought of Brahman constantly. It helps you to promote the thought of Brahman, promote higher values. See, the two benefits of it. One is your mind is on the higher all the time. Secondly, you don't get involved in the world. You become more objective with reference to the world. As a result, you become less affected with the world. See, everybody wants peace of mind. Everybody wants to be less affected. How do you practice that? By lifting your mind to something higher. That's the significance of wearing this tilak, the dot on my forehead. That is the significance. In the olden days in India, both the women and men used to wear the a mark. It could be a dot, it could be a line, whichever it is, a mark on the forehead. The significance of that is when you see the person, the first thing that strikes you is this mark. It's reminding you that your purpose in life is to seek God, is to seek the higher values. So when I wear this mark, it reminds you. When you wear the mark, it reminds me. So we remind each other what the purpose in life is. So maintaining that thought constantly, the thought on that higher. So know them all to be born of action. So all these sacrifices, they come from action. Thus knowing, you shall be liberated. So try and see what you've got to first of all see is how sacrifices are happening around you. First of all, you observe that. How nature is giving. See, there's a law of gravity that is going on constantly. You may not be aware that there's a law. Who is maintaining that law of gravity? Without law of gravity, we'll all start floating. Hmm? From I'll be adjusting the camera here, there, because I'll be floating. So law of gravity keeps me grounded. But law of gravity doesn't send us bills. Every month, suppose gravity sends us bills, oxygen sends us bills, atmospheric pressure sends us bill. What will we do? It doesn't say. That's why we take it for granted, because it doesn't send us bills. So that's why he's saying, first of all, be aware of what amount of giving is happening around you. Even other people around you, your parents, your friends, your relatives, how much they're all giving. You take and take and take. And what is your complaint? One more, please. One more. One more. So much you have, one more, one more. There's no end to it. Yeah, you want to take care of your children, you want to take care of your grandchildren, and then grandchildren will have their children. There's no end to it. Attachments keeps on going, going, going. You've got to put a stop to it. See, this is it. Next verse.
श्रेयान् द्रव्यमयाद्यज्ञात् ज्ञानयज्ञः परन्तप सर्वं कर्माखिलं पार्थ ज्ञाने परिसमाप्यते श्रेयान् द्रव्यमयाद्यज्ञात् ज्ञानयज्ञः परन्तप सर्वं कर्माखिलं पार्थ ज्ञाने परिसमाप्यते.
The sacrifice of wisdom is superior to the sacrifice of wealth, O Parantapa. Parantapa is one who has destroyed the enemies. Oh, Arjuna, you have destroyed enemies outside. Now you destroy enemy within you. All actions without exception, O Partha, culminate in wisdom. So the first line of this verse is with reference to verse 28, where he gave the 4 types of giving. What we just summarized, he is referring to that. So of the 4 types of giving, the Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna, the sacrifice of study and wisdom, is superior to giving wealth. That's what he's saying here. The sacrifice of wisdom is superior to the sacrifice of wealth. What is understood is not only the sacrifice of wealth, the other 2 as well. So see that. So sacrifice of study and wisdom, Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna, is greater than Dravya Yajna, sacrifice of wealth, Tapo Yajna, sacrifice of austerity, Yoga Yajna, sacrifice of yoga. Meaning it's superior to all sacrifices. Anything you do in the world, sacrifice of study and wisdom is superior. If you remember when I covered that verse, I said social consciousness versus social service. So what he's saying here is social consciousness is superior to social service. So whatever social service you're doing, why do people give? They give because they feel guilty that they have taken. Or they give because it gives them a nice emotional feeling that it helps others. So that is social service. Social service is, it gives you that emotional kick. That's why people who give, they also ask for their names to be put. Sometimes what they do is they ask for their family name to be put, or their mother's name, or their father's name. You go to park benches. Park benches will also have that small plaque in the memory of so and so, like that. So you want a stamp of your individuality there. So this is social service. Whereas social consciousness is when you see others suffering, you identify with others suffering. So when can you identify with others suffering? When you reduce your selfishness. The more you reduce your selfishness, the more you see others suffering. Now what do you see? You only see your suffering. Oh, poor me. I am suffering so much. I am like this. You are not able to see others suffering. You only see your suffering. That is selfishness. When you're unselfish, you don't care about yourself. You care about others. Hmm. How many people ask you genuinely, how are you? How many people inquire about your welfare? Even your own family members don't inquire about your welfare. You understand? So when you give, then they will inquire about your welfare. They'll be concerned about you. They'll be concerned if you're giving. You want to take, how will they be concerned? That's why he's saying the sacrifice of wisdom is superior. That is real giving. It's true giving. All actions, without exception, O Partha, culminate in wisdom. See, who is talking? Krishna is talking, the greatest giver. Huh? Person who's given everything. He is talking. That's why he's talking with authority. So all actions culminate in wisdom. Incidentally, this is the title of the chapter. Whatever the fourth chapter that we're studying. What is the title of the fourth chapter? Huh? Renunciation of action in wisdom. That's what he's saying. All actions culminate in wisdom. Jnana karma sannyasa yoga. Renunciation. Sannyasa means renunciation. Renunciation of action in wisdom. Hmm. So now, next verse again is a very famous off-quoted verse, 34.
तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानम् ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानम् ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः.
So here are three qualities of a spiritual seeker. Know that by prostration, by questioning, and by service, the wise who have realized the truth will teach you the knowledge. So here's an assurance by the Bhagavad Gita, by Krishna, that the Guru will come and teach you the knowledge. But when will the Guru come and teach you? When you develop these qualities. So it's called as adhikari in the scriptures. Adhikari means one who is qualified to receive the knowledge. So who is a spiritual seeker? What are the qualifications of the spiritual seeker? So first he says, pranipathena. Pranipathena means prostration. You bow down, so which indicates devotion. Prostration means devotion, that feeling of devotion. You don't have to physically prostrate, it's not necessary. If you feel like doing it, you can do it. It's the mental devotion that is more important. Whether you physically prostrate or not is secondary. Primary thing is the devotion. So number one is the devotion. Number two is pariprashnena, questioning. So don't follow blindly. Don't surrender blindly. Question the teacher. You'll find two types of people. One type of people, they don't surrender. I know what I'm doing. Who are you to tell? I know. You understand? They don't surrender to anybody. They're very egoistic. One type of people. And they question everything. They're very cynical. The second type of person surrenders. He trusts. He follows others. But what happens? He follows blindly. He doesn't question, doesn't think. Here he says you got to combine both. You have to surrender, but not blindly. Question the Guru, question the teacher until you're satisfied. And third is Sevaya. Sevaya is service. Service is that giving, spirit of giving. So through service, through questioning, through prostration. See, what is devotion? Devotion is the same emotion as love. Love and devotion are the same emotion. When the emotion is directed towards those who are lower than you or who are at the same level as you use the word love. You say, I love my partner, my husband or wife. I love my children. I love my pets. You understand? So those who are at the same level or below you, you use the word love. I love my shoes. I love my watch. Huh? So you love. But then you say, I'm devoted to my parents. I'm devoted to God. I'm devoted to my guru. Devotion is the same, it's the same feeling. You're affectionate, but it is directed towards a higher. A higher direction is devotion. Lower direction is love. So that's the significance of namaskaram, the prostration. It's called Shashtanga Namaskar. Shashtanga Namaskar is when you fall at the feet of the person. Why are you doing that? You're doing that to align your head and heart in line with the feet of the person. The feet of the person are the values, the principles on which the person is standing. So you're reminding yourself, I want to dedicate my life to following those principles that person is standing. So I am dedicating my heart and head to following those principles. That's the significance of prostration. Like I said, it's not the physical act that matters, it's the mental reminder. You got to remind yourself mentally. See, the beauty of devotion is it has to be implicit. Surrender has to be implicit. It's beautifully highlighted in that poem Casabianca. That young boy who was asked by his father to stand watch. The father was the captain of the ship. He asked his son, the young boy, to stand watch. And the boy was keeping watch. And fire broke out in the ship, and everybody was running away. And the boy asked the father, Father, can I go? You asked me to stay. Can I go? Can I go? But he didn't get a response from his father because the father also died in that fire. But the original instruction was to stand. He stood. He did not move. Huh? That's how the poem starts. The boy stood on the burning deck whence all but him had fled. The boy stood on the burning deck. Everybody ran away. He stood there. He died because he followed the father's instruction implicitly. So what is symbolic? It doesn't mean you die. What they're saying is, how implicitly are you able to follow? So prostration is that devotion, feeling of devotion. Then second is questioning. Questioning is not challenging the teacher. Questioning means you're trying to understand what it means because you're not able to understand it. That's why you'll find the Bhagavad Gita is written in a question and answer format. Arjuna is asking questions, Krishna is answering. Upanishads is question and answer format. The student goes and surrenders to the teacher, asks a question, and the teacher answers. That's the Upanishad. So no true teacher will ever stop you from questioning. They'll always encourage questioning. a good teacher. And third is that spirit of gratitude, which is service. Service means that feeling of gratitude, wanting to give back. Ingratitude is a reflection of selfishness. A person who's selfish is ungrateful. So in this field, you should not be selfish. So therefore, he says, have that feeling of gratitude. So see that on the screen, the three qualities of the spiritual seeker. Pranipathena, prostration. Pariprashnena, questioning. Sevaya, service. So prostration is at the mental level, questioning is at the intellectual level, service at the physical level. Three levels of the personality. In his plays, Shakespeare highlights the devastating effect of ingratitude. Virtually all his plays, he talks about ingratitude. A famous reference to it is in Julius Caesar, when Mark Antony addresses the crowd. He tells them, ingratitude strong than traitor's arms quite vanquished Caesar. He said, what killed Caesar was not the daggers, but that ingratitude of Brutus. His own friend was coming to kill him. And what did Caesar say? E tu Brute, then fall Caesar. You too, Brutus. Your dearest friend, you're coming to kill me, is not worth living. See that quotation from Julius Caesar. Ingratitude more strong than traitor's arms, quite vanquished Caesar. What vanquished him was it not the traitor's arms, but ingratitude. Similarly, in another play, King Lear is the king of England who divides his kingdom into two parts and gives it to the two daughters. And the two daughters are ungrateful and they throw him into the streets. He's in the streets. He has nothing. He's a king of England. He has nothing. He goes mad. The whole play. He goes mad. So that's when the famous words he says, sharper than a serpent's tooth is a thankless child. You see, how sharper than a serpent's tooth it is to have a thankless child. It hits you so much, it pricks you so much, hurts you so much. Somebody is thankless. Is one of the worst crimes we can commit, to be ungrateful to others. How can you be peaceful if you are ungrateful? That's all. That's what Shakespeare is saying. You take and you don't give back. He says you're ungrateful. You will be miserable. That's what happened to Macbeth. Macbeth, he killed his own benefactor. And he said, later, he says, I have scorpions in my head. I have scorpions in my head. So, sevaya, service. So, service is to encourage that spirit of gratitude. So, if you have these three qualities, the wise who have realized the truth will teach you the knowledge. So, the guru will come to you. You understand? See, in other words, you don't find the guru finds you. It's interesting. Provided you're qualified, provided you have the qualities. It's like a campus interview. If the students they stand first in the class, what the companies do is they come and hire the top rankers even before they go on to the job market. Companies come and hire the fellows. It's like that. So the guru is also looking for an ideal student. When a student is ripe, the guru comes and picks it up. So the wise will teach you the knowledge. So you attract the guru through these qualities. Okay, we'll stop here for today. And hopefully next week we should probably complete this chapter. Few more verses to go to finish this chapter.
Bhaskarji, do you have a moment for a question?
Yes, Vijaya.
Yeah, I have actually two short questions. One is about giving and taking, like generally in life. And what if people out of gratitude will give you a gift?
What if I take it? If somebody is giving you a gift, what do your business is to take it.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go with that. The second one is you mentioned about
No,
grandchildren.
you're planning to give a gift, is it?
No, if you appreciate, sometimes people may appreciate what you have done and they would offer you a gift. Would you say no?
Why would you say no? Why do you want to say no? Why don't you want to take? See, you're not taking in that sense. See, it's unexpected. See, understand, you're not expecting anything from that person. It's unexpected. So it's not selfish. Selfish is, oh, when is that fellow going to give? When is he giving? When is he giving? And then if he gives, give. It's not like that. It's unexpected. Somebody offers. You make that person feel good by taking it, by graciously accepting it. That person will also feel good that I've given something. It makes you happy.
Thanks. You've answered that. Second one, about you mentioned about grandchildren. You know, the norm in society is that your kids have children and they would expect you to not contribute, I'm using the wrong word, to help out their working parents, and there are moments that they need you to be there for them. If you continuously refuse, it will be that you're a hard grandparent. You know, you're not giving time for your grandchildren. Would you comment on that, please?
No, you've got to find out what is your obligation in life. It's your choice. It's not compulsory that you've got to do it, but you've got to decide what your obligation is. And obviously, if you don't do it, it'll affect your relationship with the children.
Yes.
You understand? So you've got to take all that into consideration. So sometimes you may have to do it for grandchildren for the sake of the children. So you've got to look at the bigger picture, not only that particular thing. You have to look at the bigger picture and see.
Yes.
So to keep peace in the family, to have a contact with the children, and of course enjoy the company of grandchildren as well. A little bit, but it depends on what your other duties are as well. I don't know. So you've got to take all that into consideration. How much time you can give? Are you doing something else apart from it? All that you have to take into consideration.
Thank you, Bhaskar.
But the principle is it's not compulsory. It's not that you have to do it. It's not that. But you've got to see it whether it makes sense in the bigger picture to do that. Because if you're not doing it, what else are you doing? And is it worth it to refuse? All that you've got to consider.
Thanks for that insight, Bhaskarji.
Sure. Welcome. Yes. All right, everyone. On that note, let's conclude.
Sorry, Bhaskarji, there's a question on the chat.
Oh, there's a question. Oh, sorry, I didn't see the chat. What is the question?
It says, how does one deal with overgiving on one's part, where you then attract a lot of takers and you're left pouring from an empty cup? How does one reconcile with the balance of this? Is there something in the Bhagavad Gita about this? Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. She's put Bhagavatam. Sneha,
Oh,
you're attending Bhagavad Gita class, not Bhagavatam class. So first, so you're asking how does one deal with overgiving? Oh, why do you overgive, first of all? It's your mistake to overgive. You overgiving means impulsive giving, emotionally giving without thinking. When you think, you give amount, right amount to the right person at the right time. Overgiving is there's no thinking behind it. Impulsively, you commit to something, emotionally, you commit to something, you regret later, which means you didn't do it rightly in the first place. How do you balance this? By using your intellect. So that's what the Bhagavad Gita is doing, is it's strengthening your intellect. And with a strong intellect, you will not give impulsively. You will not give indiscriminately. You'll give, but you'll give in the right way, at the right time.